All right, let's jump into this week's episode. I am back from my hiatus, and today we will be reviewing Uncut Gems. Instead of my normal host today, John is actually now on his own little break. I will be reviewing this film with one of my best friends, Jack Davidson. How you doing tonight, Jack?
I'm doing well, and I'm happy to be here. You're taking turns taking breaks, which is good.
Yeah,
Everyone,
no,
everyone needs a little time off, and I'm excited to be back. The first episode I was on was a little chaotic, a little fun, and now we're like just slowing it down. Just two friends talking about a chaotic movie. So
chaotic. Yeah, that's a good way to phrase it, chaotic. Uh, but you said you were on the last one, and I haven't listened to that episode yet.
you don't have
But
to.
yeah, I will have to. I'm sure it was good. I'm sure it was good.
No, John did a good job hosting. Um, Everyone did a good job, and it was a good movie. I liked the movie, but yeah, I don't know if you'll ever want to have us back on again.
I don't know. I'll have to listen to it, and
Yeah, how about
if it
that?
if it isn't good, then yeah, no, don't ever want you back. But I'm
Just
sure it was fine. I'm sure it was
just
entertaining.
well, that yeah, sure. That was we'll go with that.
Oh man.
Nervous laughter.
Ha
I got
ha. Wink,
I
wink.
mean, yeah, I was I was drinking. That's my whole I will say like I had a long day at work and my whole goal was just to get home and have fun and drink, and I actually worked like a 12-hour day that day, so I was really tired, uh and I'm glad Zelda and John and Thomas had a lot to say because I just wanted to drink, and now I just want to spend time with you. I'll still drink, but
Well, that's what the show is about, really. Just kind of a little collaboration between friends talking about the movies we love and just drinking and having fun. But
or you don't love.
oh yeah, or we don't love. Exactly. That's a good
Maybe.
point. That's a
Maybe.
good point. But you mentioned that you're drinking now. I am drinking water tonight. The not fun host. But what are you drinking tonight, Jack?
Well, it looks like I'm drinking water, but I just don't have a lime. I don't have limes right now. So it's gin and tonic, my go-to. But
Hmm.
yeah, man, I like water. Stay hydrated.
What kind of tonic are you drinking? Or not tonic, but gin are you drinking?
Whatever we had. I think someone just
Yeah, somebody snuck in, threw Hershey's bar at me. Ah,
do we have another guest today? Oh, wow, look at that.
candy cane.
Room service.
Yeah, room service. We'll go
Um,
with that.
Honestly, I don't know what gin I'm drinking.
Oh man,
Beefeater.
Hendrix.
Beefeater.
Oh yeah, that's a pretty classic gin and tonic there. Um, but
I
anyway, oh go ahead.
I don't know what I was gonna say.
Beef
It's
eaters,
gin and beefeaters, sure. Yep,
London, London dry gin.
London Dry and tonic. Dude, can we just talk about John's choice in drinks? Like, I know you.
Appleton Estate, Dr
Well,
Pepper.
yeah. Why would you mix? Why would you mix Dr Pepper with that? But
43 combination of flavors, plus the whatever flavors
is
are in an Appleton Estate.
is it 43? Is it that much?
And Dr Pepper, I think so.
I
I
don't
don't know.
want
I'm
to.
not a doctor.
I'll trust you.
Uh, anyway, Uncut Gems
Oh
or
yes.
Uncut Gem uh, is a movie starring Adam Sandler. And man, I'm just gonna quickly read the plot here. It's got a lot going for it, in my opinion. But in 2010, Ethiopian Jewish miners retrieve a rare black opal from the Wello mine in Ethiopia. In 2012, gambling addict Howard Ratner runs KMH, a jeweler store in New York City's Diamond District. Howard struggles to pay off gambling debts, including $100,000 he owes to Arno, his loan shark brother-in-law. His domestic life is split between Diana, Dinah, Diana, Dinah, I don't know. His estranged wife, who has agreed to divorce he has agreed to divorce after Passover, and his girlfriend Julia, a KMH employee. That's pretty much the plot of the movie, or a quick little intro into the plot of the movie anyway. And before we kind of, get into anything, Jack, I have to say thank you. This has actually been on my watch list for a while, and this show, I guess, more or less gave me an excuse to, go back to it and watch the movie. I tried to get Asher to jump into it and watch it with me, but
No, she didn't like it. She didn't
well,
want to.
it's not that she didn't want to. She just isn't the biggest fan of Adam Sandler. Oddly enough, though, her favorite movie with Adam Sandler is Little Nicky. Yeah.
Well, if she's not a fan of Adam Sandler, because this is the first thing I'm going to say, is this is not an Adam Sandler movie. This is a movie starring Adam Sandler. So like she should have watched it because this is good Adam Sandler, in my opinion.
This is, in my opinion, my humble opinion, which no one cares about. This is Adam Sandler at his best. I never really was sure if Adam Sandler was like the greatest actor because, I've only seen him in like, let's say Big Daddy, Little Nicky, what is it? Mr. Deeds. Yeah.
I think honestly,
the other one.
I've seen Click. I've seen Grown Ups for some god awful reason. I've seen Grown Ups 2 for another, I don't know why. And I didn't see Jack and Jill. I kind of skipped all those on purpose as a kid. I don't know why I didn't want to watch them, but I haven't seen Little Nicky. I haven't seen what else? Like I didn't watch. Was it Hubie Halloween?
Yep, it was Hubie Halloween. Yep.
You guys were telling me that you were doing that. You were doing that movie for the show, and I'm like, I'm just gonna listen to the podcast. No offense.
You should check it out. No,
maybe next Halloween if I'm.
It's it's a movie. It's a classic Sandler movie. If you love Adam Sandler for what he does, and the movies that he is, has done, I guess the throw it out there comedy flick, that's what it is. That's what he's really well known for. And man, this movie is such a departure from that. And if anything, it really just proves that he can do anything, after what I saw him in today in this movie. I firmly believe that he could act in whatever role he wanted to and do it well.
I mean, yeah, I think he's at that point, and he's been at that point in his career that like he really he can do whatever he wants. Unfortunately, half or more than half of the things that he wants to do is probably just for money because
they pay well. I'm sure the comedies pay well.
Oh yeah, and like maybe it's because I don't know. You get into a a cast type, and I don't know. I haven't seen Punch Drunk Love. That is Thomas was on the episode with all of us, and that's one of his favorite movies. So he'll be mad to hear me say that because I've heard he's also good in that. And that in that movie he plays more of a romantic lead.
Right.
This movie is anxious thriller / drama / just like claustrophobic shit show. And yeah, he does a good job. It's interesting. It's like, and I've heard a couple other people say this, like you see elements of his kind of goofy character that he always plays. He's still the guy that people kind of like push around and like don't take seriously, but it's on a whole different level. It's, for one thing, he's saying the F-bomb every other sentence, which maybe he still does in his comedies. But anyway, like, I don't know. It's just, I think it's more complex. It's more complicated. It's deeper. His character is what I'm talking about. And as we get into it, he just never learns. He just
Yeah,
keeps digging himself deeper, and he is his own worst enemy. And yeah,
yeah, for sure. Uh, and in this movie, Adam Sandler plays the part of Howard Ratner, a jeweler who's addicted to gambling. And you don't really get that right away in the beginning, but as the movie progresses, the plot thickens, and you really start to see that come through. And you start to see like the little elements that you were just mentioning of Sandler in the role too, as he's kind of not necessarily begging for money, but making these kind of weird, shady, slime bally deals.
stupid
Stupid.
deals.
Yeah, stupid deals for sure. I mean, really, if you wanted to go that far, like the whole movie is just one big stupid mess. But like I say that in like it's a really big stupid mess that furthers the plot, and it's just insane. You just kind of want to keep watching because in
Mm.
a way like he's being stupid, but like you want to keep, you're kind of rooting for him as he's going along. You're just like, okay, like that was dumb, why'd you do that? But then you're like, okay, is it going to turn out, is he going to be okay, right? And it
I was
just
gonna.
kind of keeps
I'm
leading you on.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. 'Cause that was one of my biggest questions that I had for you. Is if you were rooting for him, if you wanted things to work out for him, because I don't know, my first instinct was that you might not have cared about him, which we don't have
Me
to jump.
personally, or just like in general?
Well, for you personally,
Hmm.
because I know some people, like I will say, you don't have to say this, but this movie I feel like is very divisive. Um,
Yes.
I had seen it before. I just rewatched it again today, which I don't do that a lot. I don't do that with movies because I only saw this movie like a couple months ago.
Hmm.
And usually, even if I liked a movie, I probably wouldn't rewatch it. But I think this movie rewards people uh, that rewatch it. The rewatchability is up there because I
There's
mean,
so many little things.
yeah, and I don't even know what I was talking about, but oh, just the you either love it or hate it. I feel like I mean, because there are some people like my mom and dad tried to sit down and watch this movie, and they told me they didn't get like 20 minutes in um,
It's a
before
slow
they had to
burn.
turn it off. It like, and my parents never do that. I think it was more my dad that didn't want to watch it. My mom was game, but it just made. I don't think it was so much the slow burn as just like maybe it was the slow burn of like what is happening. There's no plot, which I disagree with, but
Oh yeah, I
I
firmly disagree with that too.
I think it was mostly the f bombs.
Yeah,
But
there's, well,
oh,
I have to
also
say
like I
real
don't
quick.
think my dad cared about Howard, and so I was asking you if you did.
Right, right. Well, I gotta say, when I was first watching like the first 20 minutes of the movie myself, I was thinking to myself, how am I gonna review this? Because we're dropping the N word, we're talking about Jews, dropping fuck every other sentence right away. It's just like there's really not a whole lot to review here or talk about. It's just like, dang. Uh, but if you get past like that, and if you're okay to sit down and push past the profanity, the
Yes,
nudity, some of
yes,
the sexual stuff in the movie, it's well worth it.
right.
It's
I
it's
think
so well worth it.
I know what you're talking about. I think you can review it. You can review the story, but on top of the surface level, like you said,
Yeah,
the profanity and
immediately it was like,
yeah,
whoa.
I would say like I don't know. I don't want to say the dialogue is the weakest element because I like the dialogue.
Hmm.
And I wrote down some of my favorite lines. But
Nice.
if you are someone like my dad who can't pay attention to the story because they're just saying swear words left and right, my argument to that is like, well, that's just natural. That's real life. And
Right.
in the Diamond District in New York City, like you're gonna have that. At least in Howie's Howard. Is it Howie? Howard's
His
uh
his side girl was calling him Howie, and that's what she
Howie.
actually had tattooed on her ass later
Oh
on in the movie. Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, but I think honestly, I get where your dad's coming from. At the beginning there, like within the first 20 minutes, I actually turned the subtitles on in the movie because I was just
Mm,
so you're in one of two boats, right? You're either kind of interested in the story immediately, it either hooks you or it doesn't. And if you're interested in it, the way that they set up the scenes and the dynamics, it was everyone's having a conversation. There's conversations happening in the background. It's not just, your typical these two actors or these three actors are standing there and having a conversation and it's pretty cut and dry. It was, if you want to know what's going on, you kind of have to like listen in. You're kind of like just you're almost on the outside looking into the story, right? And that was 100% intentional. I guarantee it.
oh yeah.
Um, from looking at this Safdie
Safdie
brothers,
brothers. The
Safdie
Safdie
brothers,
brothers.
the guys who produced this movie or directed the movie. I'm sorry.
I think they wrote it too. They wrote, directed, produced.
They might
I
have.
want I want to ask without losing your train of thought because I interrupted you. Have you seen any of the other
No. Well,
films
funnily enough, I actually want to
from the Safdie
see.
brothers? Good time? Good times?
Good time. Yep, it's good time. That was the first trailer I saw, and I haven't seen that movie yet either. And I saw the trailer, and I was like, "Wow, that looks interesting." But Ash and I, again, never just sat down and watched the movie.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen it
Similar,
either. I
similar
want
to
to.
this.
I've
Oh,
I've had friends tell me I
it's
should
good.
watch it.
Yeah,
I think it's like the same, the same like stress
pace.
inducing, yes,
Yeah,
pace, just like that. And I think conversations too, like the dialogue, because I actually want to go back and take back what I said. I don't think the dialogue it's very strong. I don't think it's weak. And just why what you said is like there's so many layers, and it's not like actor A says a line, actor B says a line, back
right.
to actor A. It's not like that. It's yeah, there's so many. I mean, in the jewelry store alone, like you said, you had to turn the subtitles on because so many
Everyone's yelling.
everyone's yelling. And then also Howard, like he'll be talking to five people at once. Like remember that the scene he's on the phone with the doctor
Yeah, and there's like 500 things just going on, right?
and everything is going crazy. His fish are drinking Powerade and he's
Yeah,
worried about money. And that's the other thing is it
that
goes
was
with
one
his
of the
character.
bad business deals. Yep.
Right. He's always so focused, too focused on gambling and money that he is missing time with his family, his wife. He's not, he's ruining friendships and relationships and the workplace. And
Yep.
he's just fucking over himself everywhere. But
Yep. And I actually let's go back to the fish sucking drinking Powerade because that was such a crazy scene and I just want to dissect this thought a little bit further because the Safdie brothers did such a great job at this. They're using all of the chaoticness that's happening in the world and they're using all of that to just kind of naturally build the scene, right? So in that there was a bad business deal. Howard was supposed to be selling off these like knock Rolexes for one of these other guys, I guess, right? And I forget what his name was, but the guy finds out that Howard has actually just been like giving them away because they're fake
right.
Rolexes and you can't really sell them anyway, right? And it's not like he's wanting to sell those in front of the shop, but
Lakeith
he's
Stanfield's character. I love Lakeith Stanfield.
like Hugh
Um,
Stanfield. Yep.
but go ahead. I
No,
just
no,
have
no.
to.
I thank you for looking that up. Well, I
I
was
his
ranting.
character name. What is his character's name? Um, Demani or Demani. Can't pronounce it.
Damani. The
Tamani.
money. Anyway, so he's rushing into the Howard's office
Family.
and he's all pissed off and Howard's just trying to take the call from the doctor on the phone, right?
Right.
And the other guy's rummaging through the closet. He's yelling at Howard. Howard's just trying to listen to the phone. Howard's yelling back at him, trying to also have the talk on the phone, right? and then it's just a chaotic mess. But that all just builds the scene more and more, and it just had like this odd sense of realism, right?
Mm-hmm. Because that's how conversations happen in real life.
Right,
Yeah,
right, for sure. And I don't
you're
know
not.
if you know anything about like this movie and like how they kind of picked actors, but I
I
started
think.
looking into the movie a lot more after the fact because I liked it so much and I was just curious about it.
I
And a
think.
lot of the actors were just in the world, like
Yeah.
real life
Well,
people that they
yeah.
pulled in.
I mean, Kevin Garnett. I think Kevin Garnett's an amazing actor. I think this is my one fun fact for the whole.
Professional basketball player.
Yeah.
For those who don't know who Kevin Garnett
Oh,
is,
I
he
mean,
plays
I don't.
himself in this film.
I don't know if
I don't follow basketball, so
I
I
know
don't
you
know who
don't.
Kevin Garnett is.
I know you don't. I'm just saying I don't know if your listeners do, but if you follow
Well,
basketball, you know who KD is. And my other fun fact, my only fun fact of this, well, shouldn't say that. I'm just saying John comes at you with all these fun facts. Um, I don't. Let's just talk about the movie. Just talk about the movie. That's my pitch to John.
talk about the movie. I mean,
I'm
yeah.
losing
Well,
my train of thought. All I want to say
all
is
those fun
that
facts build
it was meant.
the movie, though.
I think it was meant to be Kobe Bryant.
Oh,
Um,
was it?
I think
Well,
I could be wrong, but my whole point is that
who does?
they wanted another NBA player.
Yeah.
That fell through because they had other deals,
Hmm.
which Kobe Bryant's a busy guy. I mean, they're all busy, but
Who
I
does
think
Kobe play for?
the Lakers.
Yeah. So I thought well, I know when I was kind of like looking at it, they wanted everything to kind of line up to like where it would make sense for the player to actually be in New York and in the
Okay,
Diamond District at the same time, right?
right.
They didn't want it to just be like some random basketball player coming to the scene, right? And another thing which is awesome is they like actually used real game footage, right?
Yeah, yeah.
In the movie. It just, and I didn't know that at the time, but like when I was watching, I was like, man, that looks like a real game, but I didn't think about it. But it's that weird sense of like realism that they are able to tie into the movie. This movie it's not based off of a true story or anything, right?
Nope, nope.
But
I think the
just the
Safdie
way,
brothers came up with the screenplay like 5 or 6 years ago.
yeah, it took 10 years to write.
10 years, so
Yep.
2011. Well, that's when it takes place, right?
Yeah, it takes place in 2012.
2012. I
Yep.
think the first scene in Ethiopia was 2011, but
Yep. Something like 2010, 2011. Yep.
and then yeah, the footage, that's insane. Like they got written consent from the NBA. I mean, because it does line up. Like they were in the, they went on to win the whole thing, right? At
Oh, I
least
don't know about that.
that
I don't.
night,
Oh,
the
they did win
game,
the game. Yeah, yeah.
right?
The
And the footage at the very end of the movie. I know we're jumping ahead, but at the very end of the movie, uh, Kevin Garnett says something like, "It was just me and The Rock,"
Yep.
and
Yeah,
like The
which I
Rock
think
is,
that was the
I
opal,
mean,
right?
right,
The
but it
uncut
was,
gem.
but I mean, in basketball, like the Rock is the ball, and so I'm wondering if
Oh, do you think that was a live interview? I didn't think that. I wasn't sure if that was actually a live interview or if
I
it
don't
was
know what it
scripted.
was, but I wouldn't be surprised if they just took that interview and that's
Put it
where
in.
they went with the plot.
It would
Maybe
have
they
worked.
maybe they refilmed it. Also,
Well, it would have been interesting to know if Kevin Garnett was actually like carrying around a rock with him. No.
I think I said KD earlier. I
You
mean
did. It's
KG.
KG. Yeah. I was just
KG's
gonna let it
Kevin
slide.
Durant. Well, thanks for letting me let. I'm not a I don't know anything about basketball. I just know that LeBron plays for the Lakers now. That's all I know.
I don't know anything about basketball either. The only thing I know is you either think Michael Jordan was the best basketball player or you think like Kobe was the best basketball player, or
It's usually Michael Jordan against LeBron James, which we all know the
LeBron
right
James.
answer. Michael Jordan. If you
Oh,
haven't seen,
dude, I'm not getting into this fight. Not getting.
just go
Well,
watch The Last Dance on Netflix. Oh,
ah,
you're already on Netflix because you just watched Uncut Gems. The Last Dance, super good
I
documentary.
might have to check it out.
Anyway, going back, I think I interrupted you. I know I interrupted you. I hope I didn't get you off track because I'm just
There is
like,
no track. This is the track. We're on it right now.
that's what I like.
So you had actually mentioned that you don't typically rewatch movies a lot. I'm kind of curious. I want to go into that a little bit. Why is that, and why were you okay with rewatching this one?
Good question. Okay, so growing up, I had friends and my sisters would rewatch movies all the time.
Hmm.
And I don't want to be a hypocrite. I probably did too as a kid, but I just remember like at home, Balto was on 24/7.
I
And
love
The
Balto.
Lion King. Balto's a good movie, but like my sisters would literally watch the movie over and over and over again. And I had friends that did the same thing growing up, the same thing. Same thing with like TV shows. I know uh, your wife used to watch Friends over and over and over again. And I just never did that. I think I did that with SpongeBob because when you're growing up and you turn on the TV and if you see an episode on that has already aired, you're either going to say, okay, well, I'll watch this again, or I'll go outside and play. Um, and I guess I just was lazy and watched it again. But I guess I'm not answering your question. I just think that for me personally, like there are other things I could be doing, whether it's watching a new movie that I haven't seen before, or I don't know, doing something that's not watching a movie. Like
So you're telling me you don't have just like that go-to movie that
go-to.
you would be okay with watching over again?
They're very few and far between. I mean, I think I've seen. I don't know. Yeah, there's not a lot. I every year when people are like, "Oh, it's time to watch The Grinch or The Elf,"
Hmm.
or like every holiday music sucks. Holiday movies, to an extent, suck because it's so repetitive. Every year you're gonna do the same thing. Um, Goodwill Hunting. I've seen that like 10 times. Goodwill Hunting, I guess. But I just watched Uncut Gems twice. What about you? You like to rewatch movies, right?
Yeah, no, I'll rewatch a movie if I really enjoyed it. There are a few movies that I'll kind of, I would say are kind of like my go-tos. Like I wouldn't mind watching it again and again and again. And some of them are like, I'll watch it, but like I can't watch it back to back. Like this is gonna be crazy, but like my favorite movie that I could watch like this week and then I could watch next week would be Zootopia, Disney's
Mm,
Zootopia. Love
I
that
knew that.
movie.
I
Yep.
did
I don't
know
know
that.
why, but I could watch that movie this week and I could watch it next week. And like I have other favorite movies like The Grand Budapest Hotel, The
Good
Greatest
one.
Game Ever Played,
Good one.
with Shia LaBeouf. I don't know if you've seen that. That's a pretty good game.
Yep.
Pretty good movie. I enjoy that because I enjoy golfing. I think Shia LaBeouf also does a great job in that movie. Uh, but you had also mentioned The Grinch, and I like the Netflix Klaus, the movie Klaus on Netflix. Have you seen that one yet? Oh, it's a Christmas one. Oh man, you got to watch that.
That's why I haven't seen it.
It's a great animated film. But
I'm gonna
and
wait until next year to see that.
I'm gonna be honest. I was gonna say this for last, but this is Uncut Gems is one of my new favorite movies. I'm gonna have to add to the list.
I'm so happy that you're saying this. I don't know why I was thinking you weren't gonna like it and we were gonna be on opposite
I think
ends.
I think I understand why you thought I probably wasn't gonna like it, and it was probably the ending. You were like, you probably thought when I got to the ending, you were gonna like, he probably isn't gonna like it.
I think
All that time wasted.
Yeah. Well, you want to talk about the ending? Let's just
I,
get into it.
I don't know. We could talk about the ending, but I was actually going to talk a little bit about the reasons that I liked the movie so
Okay,
much,
go for it.
which, you know, with anything, I guess it's probably my like graphic design
Mm,
background coming out. It's like I enjoy movies that are of a lower production quality, like don't get me wrong, but when you have a movie that's just so well shot and then so well cut and put together, and then you just slap on the music and then the cast, and the fact that the cast did such a great job too in this movie, it just is amazing. It like it sets the bar so high. And there was in there was things done in this movie that were so intentional that if you're not really in the space, like the movie space, you wouldn't catch it right away. But like the directors, they chose to shoot on film. Like they chose to shoot on 500 grain Kodak film,
they
high
like to do
speed,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Which is crazy, but it gives the movie a weird artistic flair, or like their seal, or their thing, right? Like that's
Right.
probably something,
Style. Yeah.
exactly, their particular style. Um, Another thing that really kind of set this movie apart for me are the way that they shot the angles, like the far away, kind of bringing everybody into the scene. And I was watching some videos on that, and they use specific like lenses, like they actually set the camera further away from the actors and had like a longer uh what do they call it, zoom tube lens on the camera to get in on those closer shots. But they also didn't use uh I guess what do they call them, t stamps or t markers for the cameras. So like you'd have the camera set in certain places. They actually chose for the cameraman to follow the actors around, or t markers for the actors go from this point to this point. But like those were all very direct decisions, and that just again brings the movie to another level. But in my opinion, it just increased the immersion of this whole film. And then you throw in that crazy, I kind of was getting like an 80s-esque vibe from the soundtrack. But like not only that, but it was just so intense. And
Yeah.
then like you had those softer moments, but as you were going from scene to scene and he was making all these stupid choices, like it was crazy, right? And we should maybe go into a little bit more background on like the stupid choices he was making, so we kind of have a better idea of what was happening, right? So how does the movie start,
Well,
Jack?
every time he gets money to pay someone back, he just fucking gambles it away.
Right. And it's not just like the fact that he gets money. It was like, oh, he gets Kevin Garnett's
And then he
championship ring
pawns
from
it. Yep.
2008. Yeah, and he goes across the street or down the street to some other guy that he knows, and he's like, "Okay, here, I'll give you. What would you give me for this ring?" And then he takes it, and goes, it makes a bet, right?
Hmm.
And you're thinking to yourself, "What's he doing? This isn't going to end well."
Oh
But
yeah.
through the movie, like all those stupid decisions, it would have ended well. There was times it would have ended well, but it ended up not.
I think, and this is the conversation for the end of the movie. So I'll
Oh
just
yeah.
touch on it. I'll just touch on it now. I believe it would have never ended well for
No,
Howie.
I agree. Right. Yeah, this is touching on the end of the movie a little bit, but yeah, I agree with you 100%. And like, yes, I kind of was rooting for him a little bit, like the underdog, always just trying to make his way in the world. But it really kind of makes you think on how you want to live your life a little bit. Like
Yeah.
he was doing all these shady things, and he was not being a very good person to anyone around him. Like he
Right.
cheated on his wife.
Yep.
Uh, he was kind of treating, I guess, his girlfriend a little bit better, but like not the greatest.
I
Like,
mean, there were times when he was abusing her verbally or
right, for
like
sure.
just like mentally. I, this is my outlook on him is like he's so focused on. So my thing is I don't think he wants the money when he gambles. he wants the thrill of the bet. Always is looking for that next high. And the structure of the movie is it gets higher and higher and higher and higher and higher, and he's looking for more of a high, more of a high. And that's what we're talking about. The pacing is good. There's no room. There are moments in the movie where you do take a second to breathe. Like
Yep.
in my one of my favorite times that happens is at the Passover dinner when he has the talk with his wife and he finally is thinking, oh, I fucked up. Can we get back together? And she kind of just like laughs in his face because like even before this movie, like you find out in the first 15 minutes, maybe less than that they're gonna divorce. And so it does not take long for you to realize like this is just who he is. From the get-go, it starts, bam, he walks into his jewelry store, and just from the fact that he brings out the opal, and KG says the same thing, like, if you're not going to sell it to me, why the frick would you even show it? But that's the thing, is he wants to rub it. He doesn't want to rub it in people's faces. He just wants the high. He wants to show people. He wants maybe the gratification of, look what I have, look what you can't have. And he doesn't think things through. He just is always his worst enemy. He's never thinking about the consequences. And when he apologizes, I would argue that he never really means it. I think there are some places maybe towards the end when he's crying and his girlfriend goes to comfort him, maybe he realizes that he...
Right.
But then immediately after that, he's like, well, you know what would make this better?
Right.
You're going to Vegas.
Right. For me, I don't think it was necessarily that he was like on the high of the acts that he was doing and he wanted like that crazy, he wanted to live life on the edge. For me, I think he was living on the high of striking it big, right? Like these were all the little opportunities that he had, or what he considered big opportunities he had to actually finally like, strike it rich, kind of like the lotto mentality, right? But it didn't matter who was really in his way. He was just, I'm going to do it. He's wanting to be more than who he is, right? He's just like, I can be, not necessarily that being rich was going to make him a better person or anything like that, but I think it was going to solve all of his problems, right? He's a guy who, because he has all these gambling or like this gambling addiction, he is in debt. And we could talk about the statistics of somebody that's a gambler winning it big and whether or not they're actually going to invest that money later on wisely. It's probably not good, but he's struggling to get there.
Right.
And he's wanting it. And I guess that's kind of like where it's not like I related to that, but I think everyone, I suppose, could relate to that a little bit, like the idea of striking it big. Everyone kind of wants that, like in the back of their head. It's just not everybody is going to go through anyone and hurt anyone's feelings and push everyone away.
I get what you mean. I think also, like, yes, you can root for Howard. I think you also, and I'm not saying you don't think this, but you also need to realize, you just said he has an addiction, so he has a problem.
Oh yeah, he has so many problems.
Oh yeah, and so like you kind of, I don't know.
I think that's what was the genius about that, though. It almost made you want to root for him a little bit more, because it was like, okay, if he does hit it big, like if one of his crazy schemes does work, he's going to be in a way set free, right? All of his problems are going to just kind of go away. And like through this whole movie, they're showing you like problem after problem after problem. And I honestly, I watched this movie and I have never been so anxious while watching a movie in my life. But this one was so anxiety inducing.
But you liked it.
Oh yeah, I loved it. Yeah. And it's not like that I was living off of like the high of being, of being anxious. It was like, for me, I need to know what happens next. I want to know, like, is it going to be okay? There was just so many stupid things that he was doing. Yeah. It's like, well, like when, what was it? KG comes in and looks at the opal. Like KG takes the opal, but they make a trade, right? So he gets his championship ring. So
Right.
that's stupid mistake one. He pawns that off. Another guy comes in, he pawns off that guy's necklace. Now he's
Right.
got all this money, and then he goes and makes a bet on KG winning the game. That
Right.
was dumb. Oh, and then come to find out he owes Arno all of this money.
Right.
And instead of paying Arno back, what did he do? He bet it all away. It's just like, what?
Yep. And the thing is, like, they like the initial scene where he trades the opal for the ring. Like, what is the literal next scene is him pawning it off. And in his mind, he's thinking, okay, I don't know. I think he thinks he's always like 5 steps ahead. It's like,
yeah,
I don't
probably.
know. I think it's also like just happenstance. Like, it just so happened that the opal came in when KG was there, because he didn't know. I think, remember, he got the call and he's like, "Oh my God,
Right.
Kevin Garnett is in my store."
Right.
And so it just like, I think it like all these random occurrences coming together, and he just takes with it. He just takes it and goes with it. Oh, I have the ring now. I need more money, or I want more money. Got to pawn it. And that goes, I mean, even like with the when he is arguing with the, he says, "Oh, I can't sell this because I have a date at
auction.
the
I'm
auction.
going to auction the opal off.
I'm going to auction this, right?
Because it's
And
worth
then,
$1 million. Or
right. Oh, that's what he thinks.
Going to
Yeah.
bring in $1 million.
Yeah. That scene where in the auction, when he thinks, he is positive that Kevin Garnett's going to take it for what he told him it's worth. I mean, that's just another stupid. He got his own father-in-law, so now he owes his own family members.
So in that scene, he got his father-in-law. Man, it was such a weird name, like what they call him, Gooey. Yeah, Jude Hirsch as Gooey, Howard's father-in-law. So Howard gets Gooey to essentially rack up, bet against KG in this auction, because it turns out that the gem isn't, this black opal isn't worth what Howard thought it was worth. It was actually really only worth like 75,000 or something really low and insignificant. 75 to 100,000, I think, right? And yeah, he's like, "Oh crap, but like I owe all these people money, so I need a favor, right? Because KG will buy it because he's going to be at the auction because he needs to have this rock." But then it fits.
I think he finally sells it for 175,000
at the auction, or Howard.
I can't remember, but I know it's way less than, what did he say, millions? And then at the very end, he finally turns that money into 100 or 1.2 million.
Yeah, 1.2 million. And we can talk about it, but we've actually done a really good job of not talking about the ending at all. I don't know.
Well, I'm just curious to see if your listeners probably watched the movie before listening.
They probably don't. I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean, a lot of the movies you've done are older.
They are. This one's newer. It came out last year. Well, came out in 2019.
Wow, that
2 years ago.
So long ago.
It's December 13th, 2019. So really a year ago.
But yeah, I mean,
spoiler alert.
If you haven't seen the ending, you really need to go watch.
I can't recommend this movie enough.
Don't read the script. Don't watch trailers. I love going in blind. I hate trailers. That's another thing you should know about me. I hate trailers. I know you like to watch them. I know a lot of people like to watch them.
Yeah, I think the trailer gives you a good idea of, like, it gives you, if the trailer is done well, it can give you a good sense of what the movie is going to be about without revealing what the movie is, right?
I mean, yes.
In this movie,
obviously,
the trailer was good for this movie.
Good idea to know what you're getting into if you're paying money for something. But the way I look at it is, and maybe this is just because, like, I want to be a writer, so I look at the filmmakers. Like, I look at so if I saw that the Safdie brothers were directing and writing this, I would have said, yeah, hands down, I'll do it. Because I haven't seen Good Time, but my roommate Thomas showed me Daddy Longlegs, which is their which was their movie before
Good Time, right?
Good Time, and it's more of an indie film. I think
film.
Good Time was kind of their breakout into the major
Yeah.
uh, field of movies. But
Film space,
yeah,
right?
right. Daddy Long Leg was good, and it's just like there. I need to see Good Time because yeah, like you said, it's very realistic, naturalistic. This is just life. Shit happens, bad things happen, you know.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to
Well,
throw in here is like I just sorry to interrupt, but
no, go ahead.
I'm the guest, damn it. I'm gonna say what I think. I'm just kidding.
Please
I
do.
people are probably skipping my voice just to hear you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna prolong that just with silence, unless you edit this all out.
Oh man.
I just finished watching Hollywood on Netflix, the limited series by from
Good
Ryan
series.
Murphy.
Pretty
Did you
crazy.
like did you like it?
I don't remember how it ended, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, kind of forgettable.
Yeah.
And here's another conversation for another episode about Ryan Murphy, because I love American Horror Story. That was kind of my first TV series that I like watched routinely every week. I tuned in.
I
But
forgot that was directed by him.
yeah,
Well,
man, he created Glee. He created Nip Tuck. And
he
now
created Glee?
yeah, he did
Really?
he's done a bunch of stuff. And now because he has a Netflix deal, he just released like a musical. I watched The Prom. He has like three other shows. He just did Ratched. Um,
See, that one totally makes sense
okay,
because I've
so
seen American Horror Story. I honestly couldn't watch, like, I watched some of the scenes in Ratched, but I couldn't actually sit down and watch that show. It's too gory for me.
all I'm saying, because I think we should have a,
It's too real for me, actually. You
and
know,
this wasn't real enough.
well, this was real, but like when people's faces are getting like
Oh,
torn off or like they're cutting off their arm and it looks like they're actually sawing off their arm, that just, I can't take it.
well, let me finish this thought and then I'll go into another thing about the violence in this movie. But all I'm saying, my whole point is that Hollywood was fine. It was good. I liked it because I liked that era. But um, there's some controversy around it because it's real. It's historical fiction. So he's rewriting history, right?
Right.
And so it kind of diminishes
Ah,
it diminishes the major accomplishments that real people had to go through, which I don't know if I fully agree, fully disagree. But my whole point that I do agree with is that watching that show, he's like, and I think Ryan Murphy has a problem with this with a lot of his other shows, is he builds up obstacles for these characters and then it's just conveniently they just disappear. Like, so the characters do not have to work hard to overcome those. And when you said you don't really remember the ending, it's because like the last episode, like you could just skip the last episode because it's literally like the story kind of ends in the second to last. Like the penultimate episode is like the end, and then the last episode is kind of like, and then this is how everyone's life turned out. Oh, look, they all
right.
won, they all succeeded. Anyway, going back to this movie and with the Safdie brothers, is like
This had all the buildup for sure.
there is no like the buildup was there, but there's no easy way out. Like they have
Well, I mean,
all the characters have to struggle. All the characters have to work hard. They keep digging
Yep.
themselves deeper, but nothing is conveniently placed. Like, I mean, it's the opposite. Like we were talking about, like everything it just keeps building and building and building, and it's happenstance. Like things just happen, and then our characters have to make a decision, and a lot of times it's the wrong decision. Sorry,
well, and like
I'm just going on and on.
the characters are making the
can mute
decision
me.
based, on their the characters were making their decisions based on their personalities and what they thought was best, in their best interest, right? And going back to the ending, I don't think you could watch this movie all the way through and forget the ending. Like, I don't think it's possible.
Nope.
It's just not. And there was two ways. Let's just talk about the ending right now. So again, spoiler for our listeners who are tuning into this show. Finally talking about the ending and how not forgettable this one is Howard dies. Straight up gets shot in the head.
Yep.
And the sad part was,
it's very
right?
sudden.
The sad part was, yeah, it was very sudden, but it happened right after he won the $1 million, right? All of the struggles that he was, doing and him being an asshole was finally paying off, right? He just won, struck it big on this bet. KG, his boy, won the game. He took all that money, betted on him, and it doesn't end well. And it's just crazy, right? And like, it accumulated in the fact that KG came back in, brought the Opal in, bought it. Then Arno and his goons show up, asking where the money is, but Howard, slid the money off to his girl. She ran and made the bet. Howard kept the guys locked up in the shop because it just panned out that way, right? And it was.
I just think like we're talking about the ending, but I would say like the full third act is amazing. I thought I enjoyed the whole movie. Yes, you were talking about like maybe people are turned off at the beginning and they decide it's not going to be for them because it's kind of a slow burn, right? But that third act, like,
it was so good.
The pacing, the watching, like, I know you said you're not a basketball fan, but watching that game and watching what was happening in the game versus like how his life, like if he's going to be fucked for the rest of his life,
right?
Or if he's going to be the happiest, richest ever in his life,
right? And you're thinking, okay, if he loses, if the
game
loses and he loses the bet, right? Yeah, it's like he's dead. Like they're gonna kill him. There's no way they're not gonna kill him, right? So you're like thinking the only way that he's gonna come out on top is for everything to go right. He's got to win the bet.
Then everything does go right, but
right. So he lets the goons out because they got locked in the doors of the jewelry store,
but that's another perfect setup because
yeah,
in the beginning of the movie when they're having trouble with the door jamming, I mean, like, it's kind of funny. It's a comic.
Right.
It
seems unnecessary. It seems like an unnecessary thing to be happening. Right.
In the moment, it's kind of like, okay, this is taking a long time, but then it pays off. And there are so many seeds. There's so many seeds that the Safdie brothers plant that they might feel a little unnecessary in the moment. But then.
Yeah. It paid off.
Very important.
And the fact that he was such an asshole to everyone, and like the entire time that the game was playing, he was like, yelling at the dudes, like, I told you this was going to work, right? I told you. And like, he just pissed off the wrong guy too much. And the wrong guy happened to have a gun and wasn't having it anymore. As soon as he got out, bang.
And
honestly, I didn't see it coming. Like I didn't
either. I think, yeah, it's just like if you're looking at it on a graph, it's like rising action, and then bam, like because he's opening up the door, he's letting them come in and saying, hey, here's your money, and then without him even realizing, shot in the face. And that's the other thing I want to talk about is we were talking about how like I don't think Howard would have changed his ways. I think even if he got out alive, he would have continued to gamble. He would have continued. He probably would have given away that 1.2 million without paying off all of his dues. But
probably.
My thing is that, like, yeah, it's kind of a sad, bittersweet story, but he died right at the happiest moment of his life. Like, he had never felt so much joy. And so, like, yes, it's kind of dark to say that, but, like, he was just going to be troubled and depressed for the rest of his life because he was living on a roller coaster. At least he gets off the ride at the very top. But
that's dark, Jack.
I know it's dark. I'm just...
Jack's like over here like, hey, his life is probably going to end up being
Well,
shitty the rest of the time anyway. So
I'm just saying, like, if you know someone that has a gambling problem, like, get them help. Don't don't let it get this bad.
yeah,
Um,
for sure. Don't piss off the wrong people. Well, and
and
again, it was just another element. Like it was real. Like this guy was struggling with real world problems. Like, yes, he caused all of them himself, right? But it was just so relatable, right? In a way.
yeah, I'm so happy you liked it and you liked the ending. Um,
Well,
I mean,
I did. I liked the ending just because, like, yeah, sure, he could have won the $1 million and everything could have been happy. But to what you said, he probably wouldn't have changed his ways, and it was kind of karma, right? Like you reap what you sow, and you were an asshole to everyone, and you're an asshole to the wrong person.
yeah,
Well, and even with Arno, like his brother-in-law, right? He was the guy. He hired the goons. He was
right.
trying to beat Arno up instead of just forgiving Howard. Like he could have just forgave Howard
Yep.
Stet or just extended it.
And
But
then Arno dies too.
yeah, Arno ends up getting shot too at the end too because he's trying to escape.
Well, I think that last scene, Arno changes his mind.
Yeah, he
Like
does
I
because
feel
he's like, well, shit.
he feels like he has also brought this too far.
Yeah,
Obviously he's happy that it he
was
won
gonna
all this
pay off,
money,
right?
and so who knows if it would have been the other way around? Maybe he would still. But like, obviously, he didn't want him to die.
Right. Well, no, that's
No
not what
one
he
wants
wanted at
anyone
all.
to die, but I guess, yeah. The other thing is like, you were talking about the angles. I really like when Howard gets shot, it just pans up to the ceiling, the
You see him on the
glass,
floor.
and you see him on the floor, and you're hearing the reactions. And then I think like there's a couple other close-ups, but then it goes back to it's like POV of the camera pointing up towards the ceiling, and then at the very end, after you see everyone else,
Just kind of doing their thing, trying to get away.
right.
Well, the two guys were trying to steal everything in the shop before they.
I'm saying right, and I'm saying like it's even cutting away to his family.
Yeah,
Like they were
you're
watching the
seeing other
game.
scenes.
His son probably knows because his like that's the other thing is like he talks openly with his son about gambling, and
Yeah.
that's not good parenting. But the son is happy. Everyone's happy that they won the game. Um, like his girlfriend's coming back with the money from Vegas. Everyone
Yep.
has no idea what just happened, and I really like that is when filmmakers don't show
The end.
the reactions of like, and that's kind of going back to Ryan Murphy is like that last episode. That was everyone's afterthoughts. That was like a year later. Everyone and I like how he just cut it. They ended the movie right there, and it's
Right.
in your imagination to say, "Oh my gosh!" Like,
Who was upset? Who wasn't? Well, and you kind of just know, right? You kind of have an idea of like how they reacted from those just few scenes that they
Yeah.
showed at the end. But
and then like Kevin Garnett's getting interviewed.
right.
He said a line. I'm gonna butcher it, but he said a line about like all that matters is winning, or something like that.
Oh, did he? Yeah.
And that is also parallels like Howard's life, and like goes into saying like if he died, like I know like technically dying is losing, but like he won. He also like the last thing he ever did was win $1.2 million.
Yeah. Which is sad. But
And then
what
one last thing I want to talk about is the opening. I love the opening when the miners find the opal and then it zooms in on the opal.
Yeah. I was going to just say this.
Okay. I'm
No,
glad
go,
we're
you
on
go
the
ahead.
same.
Yeah, we're on the same page.
I think the visuals, cinematography, we talked about how we liked it. And the score was very like synthy, futuristic, but also like calls back to like 80s.
Yeah. Late
kind of-
70s, 80s
right.
vibes.
And then even the title card, like it zooms in. I mean, it's kind of like the Stranger Things take on it. Like video, I just felt like, oh, this is very like video game esque, where like the Uncut Gems logo like just
Mm,
goes and then turns a little bit. I think that's very like 80s also.
yeah.
But
Well, and real quick,
then the ending
yeah, the ending was
where
what
it
I was going to
zooms.
say. It zooms into his, it's a slow zoom, from the ceiling down into his face. And you're
Yep.
like, okay, why are we going back into his face? But it was zooming into the bullet hole, and it went into like that. And you kind of saw like the blood and everything, and kind of like space and matter and everything. And that tied back into the beginning when they found the opal in the mine, and they zoomed into the opal, and you kind of saw the colors and everything in the opal and
So what?
space and time.
Let me ask, what does that mean to you? Like if you had to articulate why they chose to do that.
I don't know if it really has a meaning to me, to be honest. I just like the fact that they were able to, they bookended it, right?
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
you had the same thing happen in the beginning, and then you had the same thing happen in the end. And that was like, I love it when you can just kind of wrap everything neatly up in a bow.
Yes.
And they could have probably done that in a different way,
Right.
right? They could have zoomed into the opal, or maybe Howard was alive and bought something stupid and they zoomed into that. It doesn't really matter. But I just love the way that the
I
book
think
ended it
that's
like that.
yeah, that's a good reaction. I think it's like cathartic. Like you said, you're not going to forget this ending, but you're also not going to forget the beginning of them zooming into the opal.
Yeah.
And so it does kind of tie things together. I would say this is just me, but if we think of it like at the very beginning zooming into the uncut gem, which means like it looks kind of ugly and rusty and stuff on the outside, but on the inside is beautiful.
Right.
If you taking that symbolic
Symbols.
meaning
Yep.
for the actual gem, then at the end, couldn't you think Howard is an uncut gem? Because on the outside, on the surface, he's making poor decisions. Everyone does not like him. He's kind of like grimy. He works in a jewelry shop, which you could have your own
Mm.
opinions of that. But then it zooms in, and that's the argument is like you said you were rooting for him. You kind of understand it's relatable. And it also not only shows the colors, but it shows the universe, it shows space. And so everything's universal. Um, and this is something that I didn't find out on my own. I actually like went out and found a quote from I think it was Josh Josh Safdie on an interview with the AV Club, but he was talking about quote the same microsecond that someone in Ethiopia is worried a machine might fall on their leg and break it, and that they might die. On the other side of the planet, you have a jeweler whose life or death moment hinges on whether an NBA player hits a free throw. And so it's not fair. Life's not fair. Everyone is at different points in their life, and some people are wealthy, some people are poor, some people are, everyone's different. Um, and we're all in different situations, but it's just, I think it goes back to what I was saying about everything's random, everything's happenstance. Like, who's to say, like, just going back to that thing about like, oh, your life is gonna die, like you're either gonna live or die off of something that happens in an NBA game. Everything's so chaotic, everything's so random. That's what I got from it. And then it's just universal because like that's everyone's life, you know? You never know what's gonna happen. Um, it's not fair because there's no order to anything. And that also goes into the conversation of like, I think Howard is someone who wants to control everything, right? He wants control in a world that's chaotic. And
Well, yeah, he's just trying to control his own world, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
um, think that's all I have. Honestly, I love talking about the ending with you. If you have anything else, um,
Oh, I had a
oh,
couple of questions. Oh, go ahead.
let's just talk about um, because I want to hear your questions. But I guess I have another fun fact. Julia Fox.
Breakout actor.
Yes, this was her like first movie. Well, maybe not first, but like
Her first big break,
yeah.
really, right? Yeah.
And then going back to like how they're getting people that aren't
Actors at all. They're
yeah.
just bringing people off the street. Like
All the performances were so good though that you felt like they were all veterans.
they all just felt real, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the end when Howard's girlfriend, we should look up her name. Uh,
I think it's
Geez.
Julia.
Yes, I believe you're right. Julia, played by, um, geez, I suck at names. Julia Fox.
I just said yeah, she's
Oh yeah,
playing her
Julia
self.
is basically playing herself. Julia De Fior, played by Julia Fox. So she's sitting in the casino talking to that guy about how does this work? How does the game work? They're watching the game, and that guy was. It turns out that guy was in the casino at 3 a.m. the same time the Safdie brothers were, checking out the casino, and they asked him if he wanted to be in the movie.
Nice. Cool.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I think that's just blows my mind that they were able to just pull all of like these real world people into a movie, and you wouldn't think about it, but it turned out great. Like you couldn't tell.
I agree. Yeah. That's cool.
But you said did you say you have some other questions for me or no?
I'm looking through my notes because I just opened my notebook and hand wrote some notes. I guess I wanted to talk about the violence. Like you
Yeah.
said, you don't like, and I know this isn't like Ryan Murphy style or level violence, but I mean, there's a lot of beating him up, like
Howard gets beat. He gets beat up for sure. Yeah.
and then shot at the end.
Yep.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else really that's
I mean, he got thrown into the trunk of his own car, which is violent.
yeah, and he's naked.
Yeah, he gets stripped down and thrown into the back of his car. Yeah.
He gets a bloody nose, black eye.
He gets chopped in the neck too, just straight up.
Oh, that hurt.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you're like, he's trying to talk, like he's trying to yell after. And that's what I thought too, is like, oh, this character, like, yes, he's good at bullshitting, or at least he thinks he's good at bullshitting. But like, one of the strengths that this guy has is that, like, because of, like, he like, what does he use? He uses his words. He's talking. He talks himself into shitty situations.
And he talks himself out, right?
Tries to. But like when you take his voice away, I mean, he's not very strong. He's not smart. He's just like that scene. I laughed a little bit because he's just like hobbling after these guys and he's trying to yell. But like you take his voice away and he's worthless, really.
Right. Yeah. So was that one of your favorite scenes then of the movie?
Yeah, I think my favorite, I'm going to cheat. My favorite scene was just all the third act, all those scenes.
Ah, okay.
I
That's
do
a cop
like,
out. Yeah.
I know. Okay, I'll pick.
No. You're good. That's fine. That's totally acceptable in my mind.
I don't know. I just think like
it was so hard.
It was
It's so hard to
good.
pick.
What about,
It's so
what
hard
about
to
you?
pick a favorite scene because the movie's just so well done, right? I enjoyed when he got tossed in the fountain in New York. I was like thinking to myself, they probably just tossed him in a fountain when they actually filmed this. They just threw him in there because like I was laughing at that scene because I saw some lady in the background laughing at the fact that he just got thrown into a fountain, right? I'm like, that's probably all real too. Like that probably wasn't an actor. They probably just tossed him right in there in New York. So
Just another Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah.
People are like, oh God, I wonder what this one's gonna be.
Well, if they knew who Adam Sandler was, right? I don't know. Did you have any favorite quotes of the movie? Sorry.
No, you're good. I like when they're talking about The Weeknd.
Yeah, I mean, another thing about this movie was the cast. The fact that The Weeknd was in the movie.
Right. You have an
It's like-
athlete, you have a musician, you have people who have never acted before, you have someone who's just in the lobby of a
Star.
Vegas. Right. But I think one of my favorite lines, I wrote this down. They're talking about The Weeknd because his girlfriend Julia is like taking photographs. She wants to be a photographer. And they're explaining who The Weeknd is to him. Cause also like I'll just say this quote. I have too many things to say. The quote was he's gonna be major even though he's from Canada. I thought that was funny. I don't know.
I remember that. Yeah, no, that was a good
There's some good lines, but I like that. That stood out. What about you?
I really enjoyed the beginning, or closer to the beginning, where he just got the Opal and he was presenting it to KG and his boys. He was like, yeah, so he's giving the backstory of how he found out about the Opal and how he could get it. He's like, yeah, so I was just watching the History Channel trying to learn shit. Because that's what people do, obviously. Watch the History Channel to learn
shit.
Yeah. That was comical to me.
That's a good one. I thought you were gonna say when he gets the Opal and he looks up, he says, "I'm gonna come."
Nope. I was trying to avoid the profanity in the first 20 minutes of the movie. And that would be something.
I remember because I only saw this movie a couple months ago for the first time. And I remember when like memes came out of Adam Sandler saying that, like, "I'm gonna come." And I'm like, what the fuck? Why would I want to watch this?
Yeah. No, well, that's kind of like what I was thinking too. The first 20 minutes is like, it is really like, it's a slow burn because like the beginning, there wasn't really a whole lot going on. Like you open up with a freaking mine in Ethiopia and some dude broke his ankle and they'd go in and find the gym. And then it's like, okay, we're zooming into the gym now. Okay, cool, whatever. And then all of a sudden now we're in like this jewelry store and everyone's talking. You can't understand anyone. We're throwing every profanity around that's known to man, basically. And it's like, okay. And then it leads up to Adam Sandler saying he wants to come. It's like, okay.
That's all I see. Like that. What's the difference between this movie and any of his other movies? Just from that line.
Oh, you think that was the difference?
No, I'm saying that there is no difference. Like he would have said that line in Grown Ups 2 too. He probably did. Let's go rewatch that movie. Actually, let's pay someone to rewatch that movie. I got a cousin who loves that movie, so maybe I'll just ask him.
Well, don't pay him then. Just ask him to rewatch it.
Shout out to Jason when you made me watch Grown Ups 2 7 times in 1 week.
Ooh, that's right there is why you don't like rewatching movies.
I mean, probably. If it was any other movie than Grown Ups 2, yeah. I think it was Grown Ups 2. I don't think it was Grown Ups 1. Did like they make Bambi. A third one?
Bambi. I don't think so.
Hey, let's also throw out some other good Adam Sandler movies. This is my homework for both of us is we need to watch Punch Drunk Love.
Yep. Which is one of the movies I wanted to actually watch with him.
Yeah. And then also the Meyerowitz stories.
Yeah.
Netflix. I really like that.
Did you watch it?
I liked it. I think this was better, but it was good. What's his name?
Well, I mean, you got
Noah Baumbach did the Marriage Story. He did Frances Ha. Frances Ha's good.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going to go back to the Merowitz stories, which
Go for
that
it.
doesn't just have Adam Sandler in it, but that's got
Dustin Hoffman and
Dustin Hoffman and Ben Stiller. And there
yes.
might be some other good, well, not good, but well-known actors.
Well, I just like when comedic actors show off their talent. Not saying that comedy you don't need any talent because I think comedy is hard and
Yeah.
it's its own thing. But I like so it could be vice versa too. I like when dramatic actors can play funny, and I like when comedic actors can play dramatic, and that's why maybe I like uh, uh, I don't know. Maybe that's why I liked this movie so much because of the surprise of getting something new and different and fresh from Adam
Mm-hmm.
Sandler.
Well, yeah, for sure. I think that kind of leads me to another random question for you, though: is who's your favorite actor? Just out of curiosity.
Of all time, or
Yeah.
just in this movie?
Well,
Oh my
just
god!
like all time. Like if you had to pick one actor
Ooh.
that has really kind of stuck out to you, who would that be?
You put me on the spot, man.
Well, I mean, I could say mine real quick.
Go
Like
for
one of my
yours.
all-time favorite actors,
Will Smith.
Ben Stiller.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, I like him. I mean, I like him in some of his comedic roles, but like one of my other favorite movies is The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, and he does such a good job. Well, not to mention, does he act really well and does a great job with that role, but he also like directed that movie, if I recall correctly.
Probably.
So
Yeah, he's up there. He produces now and stuff. I don't
yeah,
know. I don't know. I might get back to another episode with an updated.
well, okay,
And
just
I'll
say
just say
who it is on the right now.
I really like Lakeith Stanfield, who was in this movie, and I think he does. He's strong in this movie. I liked his character, but just to like throw out some other performances of his. Have you? This is a question for you now, Dustin. Have you seen Atlanta on FX or Hulu?
No, I have not.
So that's Donald Glover created that, and directs that, and stars in that. And Lakeith Stanfield, he might have been in stuff before that, but I think that's what really put him on the map. And his character in that is so good, so complex. Um, and then I really also liked Sorry to Bother You, which he stars in. Anyway, and he's
Haven't
been in
heard of
other
that one.
things. If you liked him in this, uh, it, I would recommend branching out and seeing some of his other things. I know he was just in
He
a
was a side
romantic
role in this, but
comedy.
I mean, he did a good job for sure. Obviously, we didn't really talk about him. We honestly didn't talk about a lot of the actors in this movie, really. But that's okay.
Yeah, it's
Can't cover it all.
but we talked about how the performances were all good and natural. I don't think there was one performance that felt off, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
no, I agree, 100%. Well, and that actually leads me to my last question.
I have a
I'll let
last
you.
question too.
Oh, you have a last question too? Well, I was going to ask if there's anything you could change about this movie. What would it be?
Good question. I think I don't know if I have anything.
I have one minor thing.
Maybe like take away all the F bombs so my dad would watch it. uh, which
Just fast forward past the first 20
okay,
minutes.
because going back, well, I mean, it doesn't stop after the 20
I
minutes.
mean, yeah, but it's really bad.
Actually, just like get the timestamp for after he says I'm gonna come, and then
Yeah.
that's when he can start watching it. No, I don't know. I think, like I said, I think not that this is a bad thing, but like I said, the third act, like because the pacing is so great throughout the whole movie, but the third act is when it really puts it in gear.
Right.
And so I'm not saying that the whole movie needs to feel like that because then I mean, people already are like on their seat and feel like, oh, I need to
Yeah, because you're already wanting to know what happens.
yeah. Like, did you
Yeah.
want to take like an Advil, or did you get a headache watching this? Because I didn't, but I don't know if I have anything I'd change. I don't know. I can't think of it off the top of my head. What about you?
There was one scene that I would cut, and that was
Oh,
right after the Weeknd spat on Howard. And they got ejected from the club.
okay.
Howard and Julia were walking to the cab, and they were fighting, having an argument, and then Howard was trying to leave, saying that it's over, Julia. Like, you were trying to cheat on me with the Weeknd. She was like, "Oh, Howie, don't do that, whatever." And I think they dragged that scene. Well, I don't think they drugged that scene on. Him going to the cab was fine. Her
And
following all that, that was fine. But then after that, he drives away in the cab, and then she walks back to the club.
yeah.
And that was just like 30 seconds of her walking back to the club. Nothing was happening.
Yeah, I mean, I
Like,
don't think she was going back to the club. I think she was
well,
like,
she's walking back home, right?
right.
Or
And
walking
then
somewhere.
she passes the people that are in line, and they're like, "Ooh," and she's like, "Fuck you. At least I'm not in line."
Yeah.
No, I get that. It was a little like, it did feel so.
Honestly, it probably felt too real for me. Like, you were actually just kind of watching a play-by-play of
Just
like their
lingers on
life.
someone, yeah.
Yeah,
Even when they're
unfold.
well, and I get that because like we talked about how the whole movie is very loud, and like there's always people talking,
Yeah.
conversation, and so when it just lingers, yes, there's that scene where you're seeing him cry, but he's still having a conversation. When you just see someone who's just been broken up with just have to walk home, and you're following her, literally just walking. I get
Yeah.
that. I don't know if
Well,
I
and it
take
didn't lead to anything, right? I would just, for me, I would cut it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it didn't lead to anything, but I think it's good to have it in there because maybe it's repetitive, but she's always going to come back to him.
Okay.
But
I don't see that.
hey, man, if that's your only thing,
That is my only thing. It really is.
I have a question for you.
Okay, shoot.
It's more of a comment, but what did you think of when they had the close-ups of the iPhone and that old Messenger UI? Remember the
Oh, you're
bubbles?
asking me a graphic design question.
Yeah, like because I'll be honest, there were times when, because this movie felt so, I think it's because, I mean,
Well,
yes,
it was
it only came out
2012.
a year ago or whatever. But yeah,
Right.
it's set in 2012 and it feels so like it feels,
Newish.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then the iPhone took me out of it for a second because I was thinking like, why does the iPhone look like this? Oh, it's because this is set 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's a question more as a like a little like
It didn't bother me, and I
no,
didn't
no.
think anything about it.
I mean, I don't think it should. I think it took me out of it a little bit. It didn't bother me, but
That's
I was
funny
just
though.
laughing. Dustin knows I was an Android user for like ever, and then I switched over to the
Yep.
iPhone 8. So I'm just saying I've never had an iPhone that looks
You,
like that.
you never seen that. You didn't know what
Maybe
that looked
that's
like.
yeah, maybe that's why it was so jarring for me.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all I wanted
That's
to say
funny.
because the last podcast we were talking about how Google looks so different.
Mm,
But
that's
the
also funny.
well, the difference is like they filmed that movie in, what is it, 2005 or whatever, with how Google looked currently then, and then
Mhm.
you watch it 15 years later and you're like, oh shit, like Google looks so different. But this movie, it was, on purpose. The continuity department were like, well, it's set here, so
Right.
we can't make it look modern. So anyway, that's all I want to say because I think I went through all my notes.
Yeah, I don't have anything else. The only thing I'm going to say to wrap up this episode is go out and watch Uncut Gems. Uncut Gems.
It's plural. Do we want to
Yeah.
rate it or no?
Oh yeah.
I think
Right.
people know how we liked it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. This is the first movie that I think we
Wow.
reviewed that I'm going to give a 10 out of 10, but I just,
Wow.
I can't say anything bad about it, really. I loved
That's
everything about
awesome.
it. So, and I think it
That's
deserves it. for like the work that they put into it for sure.
I would agree. I would agree. I think I'll just give it a 9.5. Not because when you give a movie a 10, it's a lot of pressure because if you like something more than this in the future, I guess you could say, oh, I
Also,
liked it
it's going to
just
get a 10.
maybe that can get like an 11 or yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Now 10 is like, for me, a 10 is I would watch this movie over and over again throughout the years. Right.
Zootopia, get out of the way. Uncut Gems is
No,
here to stay.
Zootopia is still a 10 in my mind, but
hey man, if you go back and forth between those two,
oh,
that's a good life.
no. I think you are definitely going to need some Advil if you start watching this movie over and over again.
I think that's my scale of like if I really like something, if I would watch it again, I really like it. So yeah, 9.5 because I'm saving my 10 for something even better. But it was great. It was great, and I can't think of anything I changed, so maybe I should give it a 10. But and
9.5 is fine.
I just want to say, before we go, there was no rum on this episode of Rum'd Reviews. Ha ha, John.
Yeah, sorry. At John. Just watch him. He's not going to publish this episode. Now we miss you, buddy. We're looking forward to having you on.
Yeah.
I don't know, the next episode or whatever. And Jack, we're looking forward to having you back on any future episodes. More than welcome to come back.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy that you're back. I think you're a great host. I think John's a great host. You got a good thing going here. So I'm always happy to come back.
Well, that sounds good. Well, if you don't have anything else, I don't have anything else. So I guess that's a wrap for today.
I'm going to come.
Bye.